Well, Dr. Ashley, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you taking time out of your busy, busy schedule.
I'm excited to talk with you.
So let's dive right in. What first pulled you into the world of psychology and human behavior, and how did that evolve then into the work that you do today?
If I'm being fully honest, it was the only textbook that didn't make me want to fall asleep when I was in college. So I figured I must be a psych major. And then it turns out I really fell in love with the field. I can't think of anything that is more relevant to our experience as humans than understanding how we work. And from there, I became a clinical psychologist. So I did a lot of one on one work with people and my own journey. I have a really rare degenerative retinal disease that makes me increasingly and legally blind. So I had to go through my own process of coming to terms with things that are out of your control and how do you still find happiness and success despite whatever cards life deals you. So the professional expertise, my personal experience really put me in this place where I'm very passionate about making psychology accessible. So out of the therapy offices, out of the ivory towers, and really accessible in our businesses, in our systems, and just in our daily conversations. And so that led to the founding of Peak Mind, the Center for Psychological Strength.
That's awesome. A cool story of how you find yourself.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
practicing what I preach, right? I know this stuff
absolutely.
works, not just because the research says it, but because I've field tested it as well.
And that is always the best place to speak from is an actual experience, right? So you talk a lot about how our minds can deceive us. What is one common kind of mental trap that you see high performers fall into again and again?
There are a couple things that I want to call out, and I'll be super fast with it. One is that all things considered equal, our brains focus on bad over good. It's called the negativity bias. And high achievers, we know this, right? If you nail nine presentations, but you kind of flub up one, that's the one we focus on, right? So our brains sort of weight bad more than good. The other thing is anytime we're doing something new or uncertain, we're going to feel anxious. And anxiety means danger. That's why we have anxiety. It's our built in threat detection system. But a lot of people misinterpret that. They feel anxious. They think, oh, this means danger, or they feel doubt. So they think, oh, I shouldn't do it. When really all that anxiety means is you're doing something new and unfamiliar. So when we can start to recode that as, oh, this means this is growth. This is where I need to go. Anxiety is a good thing. I think that's really important for being able to reach your full potential, to chase bigger goals, and to live a bolder life.
That makes complete sense. So you've lived through, as you mentioned, some real limitations while helping others overcome what might be often just perceived limitations. And how has that shaped the way that you coach leaders and teams?
Yeah, I mean, it really comes back to I think our minds really want to keep us safe. That's why they evolved, right? To keep us safe while saving energy. So they're lazy in the way they process things, they take shortcuts, and it's all stay in your comfort zone. And for me, I do have a real vision impairment. There's nothing I can do about the defective gene I have. But even then, the limitations that I thought I had for a long time were just not real. And until you start to question your mind, and I don't even just mean logically, because if you start to kind of argue with it, you're going to stay stuck. What I mean is you have to say, prove it. So my mind told me, you can't leave the job I was at the time. Well, I have, and I've started my own business since then, and it's been successful. Or you can't travel. I can't drive a car legally or safely, but I've been able to travel around the world. So a lot of times these things we hear this you can't, people like me shouldn't. And those are just rules that your mind learns somewhere along the way. They're just the bounds of your comfort zone. And we have to start to say, prove it, prove it. What will happen if I do this? And then we can see you're actually capable of so much more than you thought. And sometimes you will fail. And then we get to be able to recognize, oh, that's not the end of the world. I can pick myself up and keep moving forward. And sometimes failure or those limitations are actually the key to your success. You just have to go through them to learn those lessons.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And probably you're going to fail way farther than you thought you would get anyway.
Oh, yeah.
You'll actually meet that limitation far beyond where you think it is.
Absolutely. Yeah, the whole like shoot for the moon, you land in the stars kind of thing. I say go for
Mhm.
it. Like go for a big goal. What do you have to lose other than some discomfort? And if we
Yeah.
could all get a little more comfortable with what I call inside ick, so that's feeling anxious or those thoughts like you failed or that's embarrassing, those feelings, like if you can just tolerate that and not let it stop you or dictate your actions, then you can do pretty much anything.
Yeah, it makes complete sense. It makes complete sense. What works best for you right now in terms of gaining new partnerships, new clients, new speaking engagements? How do you go about gaining your growth?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of experimentation there, right? Try things and see what works, and what works for some people doesn't work for others. What I find personally is it's relationships. When I'm able to have a conversation with people, when they hear me speak or read my writing, then they feel like they know me a little bit, and really approaching things as this one human to another. We all have an interest here in seeing our businesses be successful, in supporting the people that work for us and with us. And I find that really being collaborative, transparent, friendly, and easy to work with is helpful and really building those relationships.
That's what all marketing, sales, all of it really comes down building relationships, right? Whether you're doing it one on one or one to many, it's the same principle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, because we're a marketing agency, we always ask at least one very specific marketing question. But what is one marketing tactic that you're either just watching really carefully in the marketplace right now, or that you are considering actually using for you and your team?
I've always am kind of dabbling with social media because that people say you need to do social media, but then it feels a lot like shouting into the void sometimes. So I'm personally really looking at where is it worth my time, effort, and energy. And I'm starting personally to dabble with Substack. As a writer, it feels like a way to do the long form content that I really enjoy doing, that feels more authentic to me. And I'm hoping that that will bring in additional people or new people to my world.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you joining. We appreciate the work you're doing and helping people pass their limits and move beyond their limits. So, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.